I'm trying to add her. Let's see. Thanks, Sarah. All right, we're just waiting for Tara to log on. We're having some technical difficulties.
Hi.
Hey, okay, so it seems that everybody can see us so far, non-blurry.
The other feed was freezing.
Yeah,
How rude.
I know. How's your tea? Are you drinking tea or coffee or hot water?
I'm drinking boiled water with honey. Oh, good for you,
I
girl.
think I needed just a touch of.
Okay, so here's the only issue with going live on your end is that then I can't save the video and post it to YouTube.
I'll save it and then I'll send it to you.
Okay, let's do that. Perfect. Okay, so dental sales consultant.
Yeah.
Tell me, because we kept getting cut off earlier.
Yeah.
What is happening exactly? I know. Why is Instagram hating on my show? I don't know, Laura. What is happening exactly in your field? You said there's a shortage of masks, shortage of sanitizer.
I mean, we're short on everything that's PPE, so protective eyewear, gloves, masks, gowns. There's a huge shortage. So as of last week, we were on back order. I'd say about 83,000 back orders. That's just in Ottawa for masks.
Okay.
And the industry is at a standstill. I mean, 95% of practices are closed. They can't run their business. And dentistry, from what we're getting from the RCDSO, which is the Royal College of Dental Surgeons, and public health, will never be the same. So when you walk into a dental practice in 3 months from now, it's not gonna, you're not gonna see them wearing these masks. You're gonna see N95 masks with shields and gowns, and bonnets on their heads. It's going to be like walking into a surgical room. And that's what the new IPAC, which is the Infection Control Prevention Center, is going to be legislating.
Really? So I just read actually an article today. I'm not sure when it was published. I'm assuming it may have been today. Una had posted it, and it was something that Justin Trudeau was saying about don't expect life to go back to normal until the vaccine has been released for COVID-19.
Yeah.
So is that sort of what you're hearing on your end as well?
That's what we're hearing. The only thing is you can't oblige people to get vaccinated, but in a case such as COVID, they're highly recommending it, right?
Okay.
I mean, because it is so easily transmitted, and with friends of mine who are virologists and immunologists, and we've had a few Zoom calls together, the virus is mutating.
Okay.
It's replicating in ways that nobody can seem to figure out or understand. And if there is a vaccine for it, I would probably recommend for people to get it. I myself don't get the flu shots. I've never had a flu shot and I've been fine. But for something like that, it's something, I would highly consider, getting done just because of everything that's going on.
Right. So now the issue is with the supplies.
Yes.
You don't have enough supplies. How are you intending on getting them?
So the reason why we had such a huge, and that's not just us, our company, but every company throughout the world, the reason why there was such a huge shortage. So 3 of the main manufacturing plants, one of them being in China. So when China got hit and they were in full quarantine, that manufacturing plant had to go into complete shutdown. So you've got the biggest manufacturing plant that's in China, the second one, which is in Italy, and then the other one, which is in the States.
Right.
So now we're working with other manufacturing companies to get masks, get face shields, get gowns. It's even the automotive industry is working on face shields. Ottawa U students, engineering students are also working on supplying face shields. So we're working on it. We've had a lot of meetings, Zoom calls with manufacturing dealers, VPs, and directors. And we're looking within the next month to have a shipment. So, I mean, end of April, we're looking at having more masks.
Okay. Are you outsourcing at all right now? I know I did send you a contact. What is happening with those random contacts that you guys are getting? Are you able to use them at all, or there has to be a specific set of guidelines?
Hi, Sylvie. So there is a guideline for masks. There's a huge misconception in regards to the masks that people are wearing. So for example, like I brought out 3 samples that I have, okay? So if you look at this mask over here and this mask over here, okay? So they look pretty much the same, right?
Right.
And then you've got this mask over here. So the first one is a pink one, which is a level 1 mask. And this is for, It's light protection. So this is for a medical practitioner who's doing an exam or who is simply taking x-rays. Then you've got the second mask, which is this one. So the reason why they're leveled is different filtration systems. And the second level is for hand scaling. So when you go see your hygienist, when there's no aerosols, this is what she's using. Level 3 masks is what we call pretty much surgical masks, is what you see for procedures such as fillings, crown preps, root canals, anything that generates aerosols. So aerosols, can penetrate through masks. So the misconception is people are wearing face cloths, people are wearing bandanas on their face, which is okay, but it's not protecting you from aerosols. It is only protecting others from your own secretions. So if you were to sneeze, if you were to cough, any air droplets that are coming out as you're exhaling, then you're protecting others. The only type of mask that can really protect you at the moment are the KN95s, which are actually manufactured in China, and the N95s from 3M that are manufactured in the States, because they are filtered respiratory mask, and the resistance filtration is up to 95% and 0.3 microns. So those are really the masks that are going to prevent you from contracting anything. All the other masks that everyone is wearing, such as myself or, anyone you see on the streets, those masks are just preventing you from spreading germs that you may have.
Right. So it's like a false sense of security. You're not actually protecting yourself from contracting anything.
No. So unfortunately.
So now you've had to broaden your horizon. Whatever masks you do get, they're going to frontline workers, hygienists, and anybody who is in need of them. What about the general public who wants to purchase masks and can't?
So right now, they've mandated that the masks that are all going out are to start off with nurses, doctors, radiologists, anesthesiologists, immunologists, virologists, right? Frontline workers, paramedics, firefighters. So these are our number one right now. I don't want to say the word priority, but it really is, okay? Once we have them covered, then everyone else will start, they'll go up online. But the one thing that I really want people to know is don't go out buying masks on Amazon. Don't go out buying masks on eBay. If they're not NIOSH approved, which is the National Occupational Safety Hazard Association, if they're not stamped with that, you're wasting your money.
Okay.
But yes, eventually we will have some, for the public.
Do you think it's going to get to that point where the public will have to wear them at all times when leaving their homes?
No.
Okay.
No. So the recommendation from the World Health Organization, CDC, and CDC, is that infected people are to be wearing them so that they don't spread it. Okay. Right. The mask is supposed to be there as like an awareness. Hey, I may be contagious. I have COVID. I'm showing symptoms. So if we're all wearing masks, if I'm wearing a mask, you're wearing a mask, my dad's wearing a mask, my neighbor's wearing a mask, like, how do I know who's infected and who's not?
Okay.
Right? Right. And it is transmitted through air droplets. It is airborne, which makes it, highly contagious or, for you to contract it. But at the end of the day, we just want to make sure in the medical industry that we know who's infected. But those who are infected, we're asking of them, the CDC, WHO, the public health, they're asking them, stay home, have someone go buy your groceries, have someone go get your necessities, your pharmaceutical prescriptions, things like that. Like everything is at our disposal. We are in Canada, we're very fortunate.
So being where you are in the situation and sort of seeing the severity of it on your end, and I don't want to say as just a civilian because you're more immersed in it than say I would be.
Definitely.
What does that do to you when you see a lot of people still sort of mistreating the situation, not following guidelines and stuff like that? Are you sort of, screaming between teeth saying like, stay home, this is more serious than you think it is?
To be honest, I find it frustrating because I have my dad who is health compromised. I have a very low immune system. So for me, it's listen to what they're telling you. They're not asking you to stay home because they don't want you out partying and hanging out with your friends. They're asking you to stay home, not just for your safety, but for the safety of your family. So if you're going out to hang out with your friends who God knows where they've been, right? And you're bringing it back home and then your family members going out, it's it's just common sense. It's logical. We're not on lockdown because they want to put us on lockdown. We're on lockdown because this is a very, very serious virus.
Right.
So yes, I get extremely frustrated.
Now, how do you deal with all of the conspiracy theorists that come out with their theories? Are you on board with them? Are you kind of like, guys, just shut up and listen so we can get this done and over with?
I'm very numbers driven. I'm very database driven. I'm all about the facts. I'm all about research. So in a lot of my Zoom conference calls with, my immunologist friends and virologists, we are talking about, concrete research. And I don't read just any article. I don't fall into that propaganda article based stuff. I really find all my articles on like Cochrane or PubMed or anything that's really backed up by a certified medical company. As to conspiracy theories, I'm hearing all kinds of crazy things. It's a virus. I mean, it's plain and simple. It's a virus.
Yeah. Ruha, in terms of the dental industry right now, I mean, I know for myself, I had a cleaning booked sort of the week that this all kind of went down, and obviously it got canceled until further notice. I did receive actually a few days ago from my clinic saying that they're opening for emergencies only, but you can't be displaying any symptoms. You can't have come into contact with anybody who's displayed any symptoms. And then they have to screen you before you come into the clinic. Are you seeing a lot more of these, I don't want to say extreme measures, but compared to what we're used to, extreme measures being put into place with the clinics that you deal with?
Definitely. Screening measures are going to be put in place for a while. When you walk into a dental practice now that is seeing patients, you're going to notice you're walking in, they're in gowns, they're scrubbed in, they've got N95 masks on, they've got face shields, they've got head covers. It's really, we've taken we've changed our standards in dentistry. As of last year, actually, the Public Health and the Infection Prevention Control Association had started demanding for clinicians or medical practitioners to start wearing these gowns, to start wearing these face shields. And you're going to see a lot of that. That's going to become mandatory. Those are going to be the regulations moving forward. And when it comes to emergency, and I'm getting a lot of calls and a lot of emails and a lot of text messages, God bless everybody, in regards to, I'm in pain. So who can see me? There are a few dental offices in Ottawa who are seeing patients on emergency basis. Other clinics will only see you for prescriptions or exams. No aerosols can be driven, no fillings can be done. But the 4 clinics that are seeing you, they're fully covered. They've got all of their PPE on. You look like you're going into a surgical room. And there can't be more than 5 people in a dental office at a time. So that includes the dentist, his assistant, a receptionist, and maybe 2 patients that have to be 2 meters apart within the waiting room. And actually not even. One has to be in an operatory and the other one has to be in the waiting room.
Okay. So they are seeing. Now, a lot of these dental clinics, they're in strip malls. Are they struggling with paying their bills because of the situation that's happening right now? Are they feeling a hit?
Definitely. The dental industry is taking a very big hit at the moment. And I think what people lack to understand, dentistry is expensive. There's a reason for that. The products that they use are extremely expensive. The overhead in a clinic, in a dental office, is very high. You've got about 60% overhead just in a medical clinic, yet alone a dental office. So yes, they're taking a big hit. I've had a lot of Zoom meetings with employment lawyers, with chartered accountants, with insurance brokers, with my clients to help them navigate through this crisis. So yes, you may see some clinics shutting down at the end of this.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, moving forward, do you guys and the people that you're in contact with, do you have a projected date in sight where there is sort of an end to all of this madness?
So dealing a lot with public health at the moment, we are looking probably end of June. That's just to be realistic. And in regards to, dental practices, they may be one of the last to open just because of the close proximity that they're in with patients, right?
Right.
So even at that, it's not going to be the same. You're not going to see dental offices with full schedules, where you've got 10 patients in a waiting room. It's not going to be like that. The standards are definitely going to change moving forward.
Right. Now, in terms of masks, sanitizers and stuff like that, is there a concern that what you may be coming into contact with may be either compromised or counterfeit?
You mean on the web?
Well,
Or like,
whatever it is, like companies that are now sort of producing, how many standards do they have to pass in order to be
a lot.
FDA approved?
There's a lot. Like, I mean, even with disinfectant wipes, there's a lot of people selling disinfectant wipes that aren't, they're gray market. So what I'm saying, there's a lot of gray market out there at the moment. So just be careful. And that's why I keep telling everybody, don't buy on Amazon. Don't buy on eBay. It's a lot of gray market. It is not approved by, Canadian health regulations. It will not disinfect. You want to make sure that if you are going to be looking at disinfectant wipes, you're looking at something like MicroSurf, Cavi Wipes, Cycan, the names that are recognized by the medical industries. Anything else that you buy, it's not going to work. Lysol is great for the home and things like that. Purell is great to disinfect your hands. But your counters, I mean, like, keep cleaning everything. When you come home, wash your hands, keep Purell in your car. Try not to touch surfaces. And I see a lot of people in the grocery stores who are wearing gloves and they're touching everything, and then they're touching their car door handle, which actually happened today. And then he walked into his car, closed the door with the same glove, and operated his steering wheel. Well, you just pretty much took any kind of bacteria or infected area into your vehicle. So
Right.
unless you have the proper disinfecting wipes or, whatever it is, you've just taken that with you. So don't buy gray market. Don't buy Amazon. Talk to someone such as myself or anyone else who works with manufacturers or the medical industry if you are looking at legit disinfectants.
So there is this false sense of security then with all these products for the general public, because it makes you feel like you are safe wearing these gloves, being out and about, and like you said, touching everything, and then without even realizing you're spreading the germs.
Yeah.
Do you think that you will expand your sort of business to the public eventually?
I mean, I hope so. Once we cover the medical industry, for sure, I'd love to help anybody that I can. I have friends of mine who are nurses who reach out to me for masks. And like I was saying earlier, just in Ottawa, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we were over 83,000 on back order.
Okay. So with the back order, does that mean that right now in the hospitals there is a shortage?
Oh, definitely. And if you know anybody who's in the medical industry, so we've been doing a lot of research, and there's an article that just came out. It is on CBC now. It's by the Manitoba dentist. So for anybody who does have an N95 mask in their possession, they are sterilizable, which means you can run them through an autoclave up to 10 times at the moment. So those are the only masks that you can actually sterilize and reuse. Everything else, dispose of.
Dispose of them. Okay.
But yeah, the medical industry, complete shortage. Complete shortage.
Now, have you been going into your dental offices, hospitals, or anything like that, or are you just doing everything via Zoom?
So everything via Zoom. I did have an office of mine who is working, who is seeing emergency patients. They had placed an order for wipes. They were on back order. Luckily, I had a sample, big bottle of them. And when she called, she's like, Ruha, we have patients today. We're out. I mean, the only, logical thing and humane thing for me to do was get in my car, put some gloves, a mask on, and bring it to them so they can service these patients. So I've seen one of my clients.
Okay, you have.
But I'm staying home. I'm taking all the precautions. So
I did. I saw you posted something not long ago about going to visit your brother and his child, and you were just sort of in the car and keeping your distance. So, I mean, it's nice to see that, from somebody who's well immersed in the situation, you are respecting everything, and you're taking it as seriously as you are. I mean, aside from COVID, what was your 10-year plan? What was your plans for the future?
Personal or business?
Business. Like, I mean, what did this disrupt for you business wise?
I mean, I'm very goal oriented. I'm very driven. I'm very ambitious. It definitely put a stall. I'm working on 3 projects. So we're building 3 dental offices like as we speak. So construction has come to a complete halt. I was looking into working on some research projects that have been put to a halt. So business wise, everything's on hold, but like I have faith that everything will return to normal at one point.
Now, being where you are and in the industry that you're in, should they come out with a vaccination, would you feel confident taking it?
At first, no. I don't feel personally, just because I'm in the medical industry, I don't feel comfortable doing anything when it first comes out. I am all about the test and errors and trials and things like that. So I would probably be one of those people who would wait. I would probably stay in isolation until I saw, the benefits of it. Like when H1N1 came out, they had all these vaccines starting, and there was a lot of side effects to H1N1 vaccines, right? And we saw a lot of that within the first 3 months. So any vaccine that they're going to put out there, it's going to take 3 months for us to see the general side effects of anything. So I'll probably be one of those who are going to wait.
Now, when they are testing the vaccinations, and I don't know if this is a question that you would know the answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyways. When they are testing the vaccines, who gets tested on first?
It depends. Really, it depends. There's, obviously there's the whole animal bases and mice and rats, and, they obviously start off with the animals. But at the same time, it's for the regular population, they may try with the elderly just to see, right? And a lot of times you have to sign a waiver before they can try any kind of vaccine. So they'll send out waivers, and it's up to your discretion to sign and say, hey, you know what? I'd like to be one of your guinea pigs. So it's really who they can get.
Now, I did read an article, and I don't know how much credibility the article has. And it was saying, it was actually a petition-based article for people to sign saying that the vaccines should not be taken to places like Africa, Congo, and such to be tested there first. Is this something that you know of that normally gets done?
I mean, they ask, like before you get tested for any vaccine, they ask you. You have the right to refuse. You know what I mean? We're all human beings. Now, has there been vaccine tested, in such countries? Yes, there has been. Is that where a lot of vaccines, they'll try to test them on? Yes, but at the same time, it's different population, different health standards, different people are affected in different ways. So if you look at Africa right now, Africa isn't as affected as, let's just say, China or Spain, Italy, North America. I mean, the States is almost at 500,000. So for me, if you're going to test anywhere first, you should be testing where the virus outbreak is the largest.
Right.
That's just my personal,
your opinion on it.
yeah.
And do you deal with any sales in the States? Or are you only based out of Canada, Ottawa?
I'm in, Ottawa up to Montreal, kind of. I've got some clients in Toronto as well.
Okay, so
yeah,
Ontario.
Pretty much.
And you don't deviate for it. Are the standards different in the States?
Yes. So standards are different, like they're different between provinces. So Ontario has a standard, Vancouver has a standard, Quebec has a standard. But I believe when it comes to this with COVID, we're all going to fall under the same standard across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
In non-COVID news, what are your personal future plans, Ruha?
I don't know. Maybe get married and have kids one day. Maybe.
Why not?
One day.
Do you see life sort of going back to normal, completely normal? Or do you see this changing things?
So for the first 3 to 6 months, I would say it won't be normal. I mean, I go walk my dog and I'm walking, straight on, and I've got a couple with a baby coming at me and they deviate, which is completely understandable, right? You see people taking social distancing seriously in grocery stores. So no, things will not go back to normal the first 3 months. Businesses will not go back to normal. But I say after 6 months of, really we've beat, the virus, then yeah, I see things going back to normal. People leading their day-to-day lives, going back to the gym, restaurants. But for now, no. For the next 3 months, definitely not.
Sort of is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think that once this is done, you'll continue with this industry?
Oh, definitely. I've been in the industry for going on 17 years, 18 years. I love what I do. I love medicine. I love the research. I love dental. I love, my clients. It's a great industry to be in. It's hard when you're self-employed, especially, during this crisis. But if anything, it just makes you appreciate that much more what you're doing to help others.
Right. Do you think there's anything that the public doesn't know that we're not hearing in the media that you maybe know on your end that you could tell people to sort of help them through this time? Or
So the media is not always going to give you everything they know. Okay. Um, One, it's because they don't want people to panic, rightfully so. But as you can see, people are panicking. Yes,
right.
it is bigger than what we think or know it is. So my recommendation to everybody is just follow the guidelines, stay home, restrict yourself, social distancing, don't have large gatherings. I'm still hearing about people hanging out in groups of like fives and six and sevens, and people aren't taking it seriously. And unfortunately, until it affects you or a family member of yours, it's not going to hit you. It's
Right.
not going to hit you how real it really is.
Right. Has it affected you in any way directly other than business wise? Have you had any family members tested positive or anything like that? Have you had to deal with it in any way?
Thank God I haven't. Like, alhamdulillah, like we say in Arabic, my family's good. My family is self-isolating. Everybody's home. Like I haven't seen my nephew in a month since this happened. My dad was actually supposed to be in Lebanon, and we actually canceled his trip. So he's with me right now until he can go back. But no, we're all in self-isolation. It's FaceTime. Really, it's spending time FaceTiming each other. Like tomorrow's Easter Friday, and we'll probably FaceTime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Lebanon, and I know you're very vocal on the issues that have happened there in the past
Yeah.
up until sort of this point. So, given everything that was going on in Lebanon,
Mm-hmm.
people were flooding the streets and protesting and this, that, and the other thing, and I know they've gotten hit with this as well.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on their current situation? Are you keeping in contact with family back home?
Definitely. I have family and friends who were and still are very involved in the Lebanese, politics and revolution. Um, it's very hard for them. I mean, financially, Lebanon is in a worse crisis than it's been since 1971. The poverty rate has gone up tremendously. And right now you've got COVID that's hit, and they're actually charging people to get tested.
Really?
Yeah, they're charging people. So 400,000 liras, which is the equivalent of almost $400 Canadian, for you to get tested. If you don't have insurance. And the majority of people don't have insurance. And do they have enough testing kits? Because all we're seeing in Lebanon right now is, I think there are about 600 cases, but that's not a real number.
Right. I know my father-in-law was mentioning when this all first started, everybody was rushing the stores to buy masks. And in typical Lebanon fashion, they sort of hid them all. And then when things got a little worse, they put them back out,
Yeah.
triple the price. Mind you, for anybody who doesn't know, you also can only take out certain increments of money from the bank at a time.
In Lebanon.
So they're in a pretty bad situation, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the unfortunate side that we don't see, right? Is that we're here in Canada getting help from the government while there's people all around the world continuously getting hurt by their governments.
I mean, stealing 800 billion, from your people, that's huge. That's huge. They've got enough money to put back into the country, and they don't. So that's political theft. There's been a lot of extortion in Lebanon. It's who you know in Lebanon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's sad. I feel bad for those. So in Lebanon, there is no middle class. It's you're either poor right now, or you've got money, or you're scraping to get by. There's really no other way to put it.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is that now everybody is sort of trapped in their situations with COVID because there are no flights, there are no ways out. If you're a Canadian and you're somewhere,
My mom,
yeah, yeah,
my mom's in Lebanon. My mom can't come here. So even if you were to put her in, my mom's Canadian. So even if you were to put a request in to have her come back, airport's closed.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's the unfortunate. I mean, some would say that looking at it from that perspective, trapping people sort of where they are. These things we've only really seen happen in times of war. And I know that my mom sort of mentioned that to me, and she said, oh, I lived through this before. It's okay. It'll be fine. We've seen this all before. And that's her PTSD coming through from when she lived in Lebanon and the Civil War broke out and all of that. I mean, do you have any family members who are still sort of reminiscing and who find a comparison between the two?
I mean, definitely. My family's been through the war in Lebanon. But you got to remember, so when you are in an actual war, you know who your enemy is. Right. In a case like this, you don't know your enemy. You don't see your enemy, right? So it's scary when your enemy's coming at you. You fight them, you resist them, you play offense, defense, whatever you have to do. In this case, it's the unknown, it's the uncertainty. You don't know where it is, you don't know what surface it's on. And like people are saying in the medical industry, and research has shown, COVID is airborne up to 3 hours. Right here, I could be coughing in my room or in my office, and it'll stick around for 3 hours. Right. So you don't know. You don't know your enemy with COVID.
Do you think that certain industries, like mine, for instance, the hairstyling industry, the non-essential industries, will be able to recover fully in the next 3 to 6 months?
Partially, yes. Just because, such as myself, I mean, I'm due to get my hair done. Everybody is. You will recover in a way, but I think, because are you guys governed? Like in the medical industry, we're governed. So are you guys governed by an association or?
There is I think it's public health. There is a health organization that does come around and check for certain things.
Okay.
It's lax in certain ways, but I'm just wondering if these types of industries will be more heavily governed after this. Will we have to be dressed in the same manner a dentist would? I mean, we're up close and personal when we're washing your hair. Our face is right in front of yours.
Yeah.
Will our industries change in that respect? Will we now need to find suppliers like you to continue practicing?
So the one thing is in the cosmetic industry or the beauty industry, so you guys aren't really put in contact with aerosolization, right? So you guys aren't really dealing with aerosols. Yes, if someone was to cough, there are, infectious droplets. Now, I believe, from the medical end of things, if you were to wear a mask, that's for your own protection. But then again, I've read articles in the past about, beauty suppliers who, when you guys are putting in colors or hairspray, you should be wearing a mask because you are taking in all those chemicals into your lungs, right?
Right.
So that's one thing. But do I think you'll be wearing protective gear like the medical or dental industry? Definitely not. It'll be up to your discretion. I would just suggest, keep your surfaces disinfected. If someone is sick, so even in the medical industry or dental industry, when a patient is sick, they are to ask them over the phone, are you sick? Are you feeling well? If you're not feeling well, we'll reschedule your appointment. You should be taking the same precautions, whether it's you, whether it's cosmetic injectors. Anybody who's in close proximities with clients or patients should be, taking all the right steps to protect themselves and their clients. But I do believe that your industry may, come back to normal a little faster than the medical industry.
Well, I think the unfortunate side of our industry is the side that's not talked about. And that's the, as hairstylists, I mean, dentists as well, but with dentists, you require, a medical history of patients. So if somebody is HIV positive, they are required to put that in on their form that they're filling out, give it to the receptionist and whatnot. With us, it's very rare that clients divulge certain information unless they are coming in with an open wound and they feel the need to personally tell us. But I mean, I've seen in the past in hair school where girls have dropped out because they've been in situations where, you know, they've cut themselves mid haircut in hair school, and then the client will say to them, I recommend that you stop because I am HIV positive. So
yeah, I get it. To be honest though, Tara, you know, having been in the industry for so long, I'll tell you that 90% of the people aren't honest about any, you know, diseases, whether it's HIV or herpes or any STDs that they may have. They're not honest about it. Okay. Those that are, we're super grateful to them. So in the medical industry and dental industry, we treat everyone as though they have it.
right.
So it's not like we glove up and we wear a mask, you know, for you. And then if we see on someone's chart that they're HIV positive, we sit here and we like double up on our PPE. We treat everybody as though they have it. You know, we were in mid surgery, and I'm talking, this is back in 2010. We were working on a patient, and we were doing a bone graft on him, and you know, we had a 15 blade out, cutting through the gum tissues, and it literally went into my finger, cut myself. So our protocol is right away, you drop everything, you sterilize your finger, you go to the lab and you get blood work.
Right.
Right? Regardless, it didn't say he was Hep A, Hep B, Hep C, HIV. It didn't say. So you need to treat your clients as though they can be or are infected. So you
right.
have to take the measures that you need to protect yourself. It's like, you know, Jessica's saying, it's universal precaution across the board.
Right. I think it's a different level of it's the unfortunate side of certain industries. I think it's something that's not often looked at when it comes, like, I know that with estheticians they take a little bit more precautions, but with hairstylists you don't assume, right? You're just holding their hair out and whatever it is. But there's been times where I've refused to do clients because I've noticed open scabs, open wounds on their head, and I said, you know, you can't come, I'm not going to cut your hair until you have that clear up and whatever the case may be, because I know, like you said, not everybody's going to be truthful.
Yeah.
And it's or they may not even know. That's the other half of it, right?
Yeah.
I think that when it comes with sicknesses, I know our industry suffers the most with that, because people will call into work sick, you know, they're too sick to go to their government job, and then they show up in your chair like, well, I'm not that sick, I can get my hair done.
You shouldn't be seeing them. And to be honest, I don't know right now. I know that the RCDSO, the CDHO, the ODQ, which are the governing bodies for all the dental practitioners, whether it's in Ontario or Quebec, I know that the medical government bodies, I know World Health Organization, NIOSH, you know, these places, they are going to put a regular standard across the board. And it's not going to be cliche for you to be asking, you know, those questions to your clients. I personally would even have a medical form, just asking them, you know?
Yeah.
Things will have to change in our industry. Yes, Sylvia, things will definitely have to change.
They're going to have to change. And I think that I would like to see some sort of governing body implement and back us up with those changes, especially going forward, because I think that, you know, we are the underdogs, you know, we like to raise ourselves up and be this like image of fashion, this, that, and the other thing. But unfortunately, when it comes to the medical side of things, we are considered the underdogs because we aren't equipped or have anything to back us up to say certain things.
Yeah.
I know even when it comes to, and I remember this from hair school as well, and just from what my time as an educator, when it comes to head lice, by law, we are not even allowed to say you have lice, because we are not doctors to diagnose them with it. We have to say it appears that you may have. Go to a pharmacist or go to a doctor, have somebody check you, and this is what you can do, and we will see you once the situation has cleared.
Definitely.
But we can't even go as far as to say this is what you have in your hair, because they could turn around and sue us. So we're not very backed by anything right now, which is very unfortunate.
You can't diagnose, right? Like
you
can't diagnose any skin condition related to the hair. One thing that I will say is your industry, you know, you may get cracked down on more than before. Nail salons I mean, there's going to be regulations and standards, and probably they're going to get, people coming in for inspections for sure. But what I can say is invest in the real medical grade disinfectants, because you guys are using scissors on different people. You're using clippers. I mean,
Yeah.
clippers, you don't think about it, but they're dirty if they're not properly,
No, and
maintained.
properly, yeah.
Scissors, same things. Your brushes. Everybody thinks that, anything that's just viral and infectious, it's by coughing or sneezing. But there's a lot of things that you contract by the simple touch, right? So like they're surface borne. They stick on surfaces such as hair and clothing and materials. So the only thing is that with viruses, you can't see them. So you have to be able to treat everybody. And I'm so sorry to say this, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but you have to be able to treat everyone as though they may be infected with anything. So when your client comes in, your space should be disinfected for them, for their safety and well-being, as well as yours. When your next client comes in, it should have been disinfected, prior to them sitting in that chair. And that's where a lot of articles are going to be coming out. And I hope you guys are going to be governed in some way or another. I'm already OCD about cleanliness and all that stuff. So I feel it's going to wake up a lot of people, and a lot of people don't take hygiene very seriously, whether it's their own hygiene or, their respected businesses. But I think that's all going to change.
Well, and I think it's going to force a lot of the fast-paced industries to slow down.
Yeah.
And have to take those steps in between. Because what ends up happening, especially with a lot of nail salons, right, is they're just like boom, 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 in and out. And it's just like you see them, it's a quick wipe down. And I think that a lot of people overlook that, right? They think like, oh, it's fine. But it's filthy at the end of the day, right? So...
You know what? I actually walked into I get my nails done every 2 weeks. I'm known for it. I'm actually gone bare now. I've cut my own nails off. And I walked into a salon, and I walked in with my own clippers, my own filer, my own everything, just because I don't know how well they're disinfecting their things. And if you see a lot of the infection control articles that are out by public health or any infection industry, they're all with the nail salons, all of them.
Yeah.
So be careful where you're going. Disinfect your stuff. Treat it as though it's a clinic. Treat it as though it's a dental office. Treat your business as though you're treating patients. Keep it clean and sterile as though you're treating your own family members. That's how I see it. I see it as in, would I want my dad, or if I had kids, like would I want my kids or my siblings to go sit in an office, in a dental office that I know isn't sterile? No, definitely not. Would I want them to go get their nails done in a place that may not be sterile? Definitely not. So treat your patients and your clients as though they are yourself or your family members. And that's across the board for any industry that we're in.
Yeah. And I think that for the most part, most from what I know of, most stylists do, but I think that now it'll be with heightened standards.
Definitely.
Things that you wouldn't think of before, you're now suddenly thinking of, which is, I don't want to say that it's unfortunate, but it's just the sad reality that, we could have been taking these steps before, and now we just have to.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's, I have a lot of my girlfriends, like you, Sylvie, like my girlfriends are watching now. They're all hairstylists. And I mean, if you guys have any questions in regards to, disinfection or protocols, feel free to reach out to me. I want to make sure, one, you guys aren't buying, gray market stuff. Two,
Right.
that you guys are up to standards, not just to protect your clients, but you guys are protecting yourself in any industry.
Do you think that it'll come to the point where if certain stylists or estheticians decide to go back a little bit earlier, they're going to have to be dressed in a similar manner? Like, I know you said we don't use the aerosols and whatnot, but in a similar manner with a mask and gloves, just to do things like a haircut.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask you. So yeah, it is whiskey. So for beauty salons, this is just my recommendation that you guys wear gowns. So the gowns that are washable, but so if you're seeing 8 clients a day, have 7 gowns, because the only client that you can see without a gown, like in the medical industry, is your last client, right? Because your gown isn't soiled. So
Okay.
I would say, you know what, purchase 7 gowns. If you're seeing 8 clients a day, change your gowns in between clients. And you know what, your clients are going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate that, you know, you're taking the time to take into consideration their safety as well as yours. So yeah, definitely interchange gowns. You know, I see some stylists that are reusing the same gloves from one head to another.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. You know what, just get the box of gloves, you know. It's like a nurse walking in, into your room. She's changing your bed sheets and she's cleaning you up. She stays in her gloves, goes to see the next patient, and then comes back to see you. Well, that's called cross contamination. So in any industry, there's cross contamination, whether it's the food industry, the medical industry, the beauty industry. So you want to make sure that everything that you use on one person has been disposed of, and you use something new on the next client.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I see you have a lot of fans here. Everyone is admiring your glass of scotch.
Thank you.
Or whiskey? Sorry, what was that?
Whiskey.
I did see a question earlier up. I'm trying to scroll to find it.
I saw a few of them. Sorry,
I think
guys.
Raneem, she said, as of yesterday, who disclosed that there will be 2 to 3 spikes, another in the fall and another in the winter?
So the World Health Organization, Public Health, and CDC. So if there is no vaccine cure from now till they're saying July, there will be another spike come October.
So, and I did read an article about intermittent isolation, where they let people out for small periods of time. And I'm wondering if this is sort of the same thing as what they're saying, sort of let people build tolerance or immunity, and then everybody will have to go back into isolation so that the hospitals have enough time to prepare, and then they'll release people again. Do you see that happening? Or
so the only indication with this is that, so if you are releasing small portions of population at a time, you know, into the wilderness, so people who are, you know, have health risks or have underlying health issues, if they're going out there and they're catching it and they want you to become immune to it and they come home and they can't fight it off, it's not smart. So complete isolation is the best way to go. And from what I'm hearing from, you know, all of the conferences that we're having on a daily basis is self-isolation, and that's how it's going to be. And that's why they've mandated nobody in public parks, you know, nobody in public spaces. They don't want people mingling. There's a reason behind that. And the more people don't listen, the longer we will be inside self-isolation.
do you think it'll move into a military lockdown?
In some countries, it has become a military lockdown. In Canada, I mean, I've heard Toronto, I'm not sure, I'm not in Toronto and I haven't really looked into it, so I don't want to get false facts, but from what I've heard, they're looking into military lockdown in Toronto. The only time it becomes a military lockdown is when it's a spread of population, let's just say over like 40%, really.
Right.
Right now in Ottawa, we don't have the real numbers, and I'm being honest, like we don't have enough testing kits. Yeah. So if you're seeing that Ottawa, let's just say right now had 2,000 cases, double that, maybe triple it, because not everybody's being tested. And even when they're getting calls saying, hey, these are my symptoms, they're like, well, your symptoms aren't bad enough for you to come in and get tested. We'll save it for people with worse symptoms. So right now, there are a few companies, and we actually got the news yesterday, that are manufacturing testing kits for Canada. Okay. So we will be getting, you know, in the thousands of kits coming soon. They are recommending for everybody to get tested. I don't know if it's going to be in an age range, you know, between this time and this time, you know, per age range, per last name. I don't know how it's going to work, but I do know that we are working on testing kits, and we are, like, even dental companies are working on manufacturing testing kits at the moment for Canada.
I mean, what is the point of testing people? Wouldn't it be better to just go under the assumption that everybody has it and then proceed from there, as opposed to spending more money and funding on testing people?
So the logic behind testing people is, I'll take you and I, for example, okay? God forbid, let's just say I'm COVID infected, right? And I don't know, and I'm out there shopping and I'm buying groceries and I'm infecting everybody around me. So right. They want to be able to eliminate everyone who is infected to stay home. So that we know when we're out in public, we're safer. We know that whoever's out in public, is COVID free, hasn't tested positive. But the only thing that, they're talking about now is if you were tested for COVID, and this has been around since January in North America, for those who aren't aware, if you've been tested for COVID and you tested positive, it is an underlying virus. So the way the virus works is it works like neuroreceptors, okay, within it's on a molecular level, and it affects the white blood cells, the eosinophils, the lymphocytes in your lungs, and it attaches there and it mutates within them. So if you're able to fight it, you're not going to get the same symptoms, in 3 months from now or in a month from now. But for those with weak immune systems who do test positive for it, it can come back. And that's why they're asking people, we're going to try to test everybody who tests negative, you'll see them in public. It's really just to create some sort of safety, right? Because right now, scarcity is at its maximum. Everybody's scared.
Okay. So, and I know that some places have moved into like martial law where they're sort of going to homes and they're checking fevers and stuff like that. Do you think that'll ever escalate to that point here? Or do you think that we're more compliant than other areas?
So, I mean, Ottawa specifically, we're seeing a lot more compliance than other areas. I definitely think that by respecting the isolation rules and the guidelines that are coming out on a daily basis, and things are always changing, we're not going to be as prone as other countries into spreading the virus. That's for sure. That's for sure. But I do agree with Sylvie, like lockdowns should have been taken in effect since day one. Malls should have been closed. Only groceries, only medical industry should have been open. And as unfortunate as it is for everyone who's self-employed or who has to go on EI, this is the real world that we're living in. It's, it's not a comic book. It's not a movie. It's affecting everybody.
So they haven't gone into military lockdown. Do you think that's just to keep everybody sort of calm and at bay?
Definitely. I think once we get enough testing kits in Canada and we have an accurate number of those who have tested positive, that's when things will escalate, whether it's military lockdown, whether it's more police presence on the roads. We'll definitely see some sort of higher engagement from law enforcement, for sure. Like, I mean, they're already ticketing people. It's not a joke.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think a lot of people are realizing the severity of it too now that they're seeing the tickets coming without warning, right? A lot of people were expecting beforehand, which is the unfortunate part that, you need to get a ticket in order to understand what's actually happening. Mm-hmm. But I think at this point it is what it is. So I'm glad that they are doing that and they're implementing laws. Ruha, tell us something we don't know about you. Subject change.
I don't know, because my close friends really know me. Something about me. I mean, I love working out. I'm known for working out. I love my family. Actually, I become Martha Stewart with all of this. I mean, I'm such a workaholic that everybody's super surprised at how much like cooking and baking I'm doing, because I never had time. I literally never had time to cook or bake. I always meal prepped everything. So something about myself, I've become a new Martha Stewart with this whole COVID thing. I'm coming out as a great chef.
There you go. I actually made shish barak today.
Oh, did you?
I was swearing at everybody's grandmother for inventing that recipe because, holy crap, my arm almost broke stirring the pot.
I know. I'm working on my Lebanese stuff for sure, like the traditional cooking. Yeah. It takes a lot of time. But no, other than that, I don't know. What is it? What do you guys want to know about me?
Guys, do you have any questions for this beautiful young lady? I knew you were always a very intelligent woman, but goddamn, you are so smart.
Thank you. I read. Still waiting for my food. Where's
my mom? What?
Okay. Guys, I'm more than happy when I bake something. If you guys want some, I'm more than happy to deliver.
And she's clean, she's OCD, and she owns sanitizing products.
You know what? It's crazy because anybody who walks into my house and like at any given time is like, does anybody even live here? Because I'm already super like neat freak. Now it's like next level. If my dad even leaves the house to whatever, just go take a drive. I'm like, at the door, take your clothes off, drop everything. You're not walking in without that.
That's too funny.
But yeah, if anybody has like any questions in regards to, you know, the new regulations that are going to come out or the medical dental industry, I mean, I'm more than happy to answer them. Whatever you guys want.
Now, if somebody wanted to get into contact, like for myself, if I wanted to contact somebody about getting my industry just more heavily regulated, how do you go about doing that? Who do you contact?
So since you guys are not governed, I would follow public health.
Public health.
I would call public health. And my favorite dish under candlelight, I love seafood.
Ooh. Have an admirer, Ruha.
I love seafood. So, I mean, oysters, shrimp, lobster. I love seafood.
Sylvie's asking if you do curbside pickup.
Sylvie, for you, I'll do any kind of pickup.
Thank you so much, Ruha. I'm going to try to screen record this from viewing it on your page, if I can do that. I don't know if I can.
I don't even know how to save this. You want to show me how to save it?
Okay, so when we end the live, guys, this is like the awkward part of the live. When we end the live, it's going to say end now, and then it'll say share to story. So just click on share to story afterwards, and it'll take like a minute or two, and it'll upload on your page. So normally I have that everybody can do this on my page. For whatever reason, my Instagram's being a hoe, and it's not working. So we will be able to then view it on Ruha's page, and I am going to try to be a really big creep and record it off her page if I can with my screen recording app. I'll just like leave it playing and see if that works, or I'll get you to try to do that for me, and then try to upload it to YouTube for everybody who didn't get a chance to watch. Ruha, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Tara. Thank you.
Amazing information, so informative. You are such a beautiful soul inside and out, and I'm so proud of you. You've done so well for yourself, honestly.
Thank you.
Good for you.
I appreciate it. You too.
Thank you so much, guys. Guys, tomorrow I have Dr. Rebecca Rizik. She's a chiropractic doctor. She's currently in Dallas. She's actually married to a former Ottawa's Red Black player, Moten Hopkins. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right.
No idea.
And she unfortunately had to have her wedding canceled. So I'm really excited to talk to her tomorrow. Tune in for that at 9 p.m. Ruha, thank you again so much.
My pleasure, Habiba. And like I said, if anybody has questions, just message me.
Yes, for sure.
More than happy.
So much. Take care. Stay safe, please.
I will. You too. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I'll try.
All right, Habiba.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care. Thank you.